Hello friends, welcome back to Dr. Jaggi's Academy. So today I will start with the second part of the bronchial asthma. I hope you must have seen the first part of the bronchial asthma, whose link is also given in the description section of this video. So let's start with the second part of the pathogenesis of bronchial asthma. So in this video, I will discuss the pathogenesis of the most common form of the asthma, that is the allergic asthma. Then I will discuss what is the role of the nervous system in the asthma, particularly the autonomic nervous system. Then the role of inflammatory cells and the different mediators. Then we will discuss another type of the asthma, that is the exercise-induced asthma. So let's start with the allergic asthma. So you know it is the most prevalent asthma, most common form of the asthma, and 35 to 50% of the total asthma they come under the class of the allergic asthma. And if we describe it, what kind of the reactions are taking place in allergic asthma? So they are localized to one organ. Okay. Then they are type 1 hypersensitivity reactions. We are having 4 types of hypersensitivity: type 1, type 2, type 3 and type 4. It comes under the class of type 1 hypersensitivity. What are the typical features of type 1 hypersensitivity? We will discuss later on in this chapter. The localized type 1 hypersensitivity reactions, they are also called as atopic reactions. Then the critical features, the important features of type 1 or the allergic asthma is the involvement of IgE antibody, involvement of mast cells, then very important role of eosinophils, then role of leukotrienes. So we will discuss the pathogenesis of allergic asthma. We can discuss the pathogenesis in different headings. First, we will discuss the role of mast cells, that means how they are activated. Then what is the role of primary mediators, then secondary mediators. We will discuss all these step by step. Then inflammatory reactions, then the role of nervous system, particularly the parasympathetic nervous system, then mucus production, increase in mucus production. We will discuss each one under a separate heading. Before discussing these individually, I would like to summarize the whole thing in the asthma. So now we can consider it a mast cell. Okay, from the mast cells there is a release of primary mediators. From the mast cells there is a release of secondary mediators. And we are having the allergen, we are having the IgE antibodies. We will discuss the whole process in the detailed manner in the subsequent slides. Now, the first of all, the reaction, that is the activation of mast cells. So what happens? Let's say a person is exposed to the antigen for the first time in his life. First exposure to the antigen. So the first exposure is followed by production of a very important antibody, that is IgE. Then second thing, there is an increase in the number of mast cells. Then what will happen? These two will interact. How? These IgE, they will be attached to mast cells. So we use a word coating of mast cell with IgE. I will describe this thing with the help of a diagram. Then this is the thing which happens in the first exposure. What will happen if the person is again exposed to that allergen? Subsequent exposures. Now these mast cells are activated. First they were coated, but now they are activated. Now once they are activated, they will release primary and secondary inflammatory mediators. Now the whole thing with the help of a diagram. So as I told, it is a type 1 hypersensitivity reactions. So first what happens in the first exposure? Let's say this is the allergen that comes in the body. So this allergen will interact. First time they will interact with the cells. They are called as antigen presenting cells. In the short, they are called as APC. So that means allergen is exposed to antigen presenting cells of our body. So now when these two interact, it will lead to the activation of our immune system, particularly the helper T cells. And one way of writing the helper T cell is the CD4 plus T cells. Actually, these T cells, they have glycoprotein CD4 on these T cells. That is why they are called as CD4 plus T cells. So once these T cells are activated, it will lead to release of cytokines. Particularly, it is the interleukin 5, very important cytokine, interleukin 5. This interleukin 5 will lead to activation of B cells. Now these B cells are responsible for the production of IgE, that I told in short, that allergen first exposure production of IgE antibody. Now, okay, so these are Y-shaped antibodies. So moreover, these cytokines IL-5, it will lead to recruitment of more mast cells. So mast cells, they recruit at the bronchial sites. So now they interact. How they will interact? Coating of mast cell with IgE, like this one. This is the mast cell, this is antibody. These two are coated. Okay, so this is how the mast cells are coated. So these are the things which happen in the first exposure. So now what will happen on the subsequent exposures? So let's say again a re-exposure to the allergen. Now we are already having in our body mast cells which are coated with IgE, mast cells coated with IgE. Okay, so this allergen will cross-linking of these antibodies will take place. Okay, so cross-linking of antibodies with the antigen. So it will lead to the activation of mast cells. Mast cells, once they are activated, it will lead to degranulation of mast cells. That means mast cells have number of granules. Those granules, when they are released, that process is called as degranulation. So degranulation will lead to release of primary mediators from the pre-filled granules. Okay. So these, what are the things which are released? Mostly the I will tell what are the mediators. So whatever the mediators they are released, they will lead to the asthmatic attack in the initial stages, initial asthmatic attack, that is in 10 to 20 minutes. But simultaneously, these mast cells, once they are activated, it also produces this synthesis. So you have to remember, I am using two words: release, which is already stored, synthesis of a new thing. So synthesis of the secondary mediator. You can understand that synthesis will always take certain period of time. That is why it is taking approximately 4 hours, and this is responsible for the late asthmatic response. Okay, so primary mediators, immediate release of the mediator, early response, initial asthmatic attack within 10 to 20 minutes, and synthesis of secondary mediators, which will take certain time. So it appears it is responsible for the late asthmatic attack. We will further discuss primary and secondary mediators in more detail. So now what are the primary mediators? So I am using a word release, not synthesis. Synthesis is with the secondary. So as I told, degranulation of mast cell lead to release of stored form of the inflammatory mediators. What are those? So again, this is the same thing. Immediate precipitation of asthmatic attack within 10 to 20 minutes. And a very important thing, that this response is not permanent. Asthma will appear, but most of the time it will disappear after 60 to 120 minutes, because all these mediators are also washed away. Now again, as I was telling, what is the most important mediator? Primary mediator. Histamine is the primary mediator, most important primary mediator. Another thing, synthesis of the secondary mediators. So now, when the mast cells are activated, there is a release of arachidonic acid. Arachidonic acid from the plasma membrane of the activated mast cells. You know, once the arachidonic acid is activated, it leads to generation of lipid-derived mediators. What are those? And they are responsible for the late asthmatic reaction that appear after 4 hours. And you can say this is late asthmatic attack is more severe and long-lasting. It may last up to 24 hours. Now what are those lipid-derived mediators? These are actually the cysteine leukotrienes. What are those? LTC4. LT means leukotriene, C4. leukotriene D4, leukotriene E4. These are very important leukotrienes which are involved in the long-lasting and the severe and the late asthmatic attack. So what they will lead to? They will produce bronchoconstriction, constrict the bronchi, and respiration becomes difficulty. And very important thing, if you compare leukotrienes and histamine, both produce bronchoconstriction, but leukotrienes, they produce 100 to 1000 times more potent than histamine. That means the response of leukotrienes is much more higher than the histamine. That is why it is more severe form of the asthma. Fourth one, because these inflammatory mediators are released, they will lead to development of inflammatory reactions in the bronchi like vasodilation, increase in vascular permeability, adhesion of leukocytes, more recruitment of inflammatory cells, like lymphocytes, eosinophils, macrophages, and in terms of recruitment, there is an important role of leukotriene B4. This is a very important chemotactic factor. Fifth, very important thing, role of nervous system, particularly the parasympathetic nervous system. So what happens is that when the inflammatory reactions are activated, it leads to activation of cholinergic receptors. That means vagus nerve is activated. That means parasympathetic nervous is activated. So these are the same thing. So activation of parasympathetic, vagus or cholinergic receptors produces the bronchoconstriction, narrowing of the lumen of the bronchi. So that means if you block cholinergic receptors, you can overcome the bronchoconstriction. Now another thing, mucus production. So more of the mucus is produced by the goblet cells. So all these things I also told in my first video of the bronchial asthma, that I told the link of which you can find in the description of this video. This mucus will form the mucosal plugs, and they also help in obstructing the bronchi, so which leads to difficulty in breathing. So now in general I am just discussing the role of autonomic nervous system in the asthma. So there are three systems that I will discuss. I told the parasympathetic nervous system, that means it is activated, stimulated, which produces the bronchoconstriction. Second thing, what happens in the sympathetic? So now it is said that there is a lack of beta 2 receptors, or they are blocked. That means sympathetic nervous system is not working. Either receptors are not activated or somehow they are blocked. The blockade of beta 2 receptor produces the bronchoconstriction. Then there is another system which is called as non-adrenergic, non-cholinergic system. In short, it is called as NANS. And it is said there is an involvement of adenosine. So what happens is that this system is activated. Activation leads to the bronchoconstriction. So it is said activation of parasympathetic and activation of the non-adrenergic, non-cholinergic system, while the inhibition of sympathetic is responsible for the asthma. That means if you have to treat the asthma, what you have to do? You have to block this one, you have to block this one, you have to activate the sympathetic nervous system. So whatever the things happen in the disease, you have to reverse to treat it. So now what are the, I'm just summarizing these cells and their roles, you can see, okay. So what are the inflammatory cells in the bronchial asthma? Because sometimes they may ask, write a note on the inflammatory cells, or what are the inflammatory mediators, okay. So I'm telling the important role of eosinophils, mast cells. But there is a role of basophils, macrophages and T lymphocytes. As I told, eosinophils, they promote inflammation, mast cells, they release primary and secondary mediators. They are also involved in tissue damage or promotion of inflammation. Then inflammatory mediators, as I told, histamine. So this is the primary mediators, preformed inflammatory mediators from the mast cell, that is primary mediators. Amongst these is the important role of histamine, which produces the bronchoconstriction. There are other primary mediators also, like heparin, proteases like tryptase and kinase. Less important, more important, histamine. Coming down to the secondary mediators, okay. So that I told, important role of C4, D4, E4, which produces the bronchoconstriction. As I told, B4, I told that it is a chemotactic factor, leukocyte chemotaxis. Is also role of PGD4, D2 and PAF, platelet activating factor. So now this is the list of the cytokines which are involved. So this is a long list. Interleukin, as I told, this is an important role of IL-5, which is involved in eosinophil differentiation and chemotaxis. All these are important. 1, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, you can see their actions. Now another type of the asthma. This is the exercise-induced asthma. So now what happens is the person who are asthmatic, if they go for the vigorous exercise, this produces a drop in the pulmonary function. The pulmonary function is not there. We don't know what is the exact pathogenesis. Maybe there is an excessive loss of heat or water from the airway, and that is why it is more easily provoked in the cold and dry air. That means there is a loss of heat. So that means if you give some warm and humid air, that means dry, cold is producing a disease. So you have to give a warm or humid air, then it will reduce the symptoms of the asthma. So there is also a role of mast cells. How we come to know? If you give mast cell stabilizer, which don't allow mast cells to degranulate, it can help to reduce the exercise-induced asthma. So that is what I wanted to discuss today with the asthma. In my upcoming video, I will discuss the chronic obstructive pulmonary disease (COPD), which is manifested in two forms. One is the emphysema, and second is called as chronic bronchitis. Thank you.